Instant silence. Going.
I want to talk about the relationship between the agent and the auctioneer. You know, there's never going to be a time when that's more critical. So if agents are listening to this or watching this, what advice, and we'll just open this up to the floor, what advice would you give to agents? And I know every market's a little bit different, so obviously just take the question with the context of your market. What advice would you give agents?
I think one of the big things I'm trying to say to all my agents that I'm working with is you've got to work harder to keep your buyers on the hook through the campaign in a big way. I think customer service on the buyer side of things has just gone and hit the floor almost with it in a lot of cases where because of the volume they've just gone, there'll be another one rock up, so it's not really a massive issue. Whereas now we're seeing a greater degree of parity between supply and demand. Agents really do need to focus on making sure that they keep the buyers warm on those properties, keeping them in communication on a regular basis, even if it's just through SMS. Like something nice and quick and short that's not too intrusive, but shows enough endeavour that you actually care about them wanting to be at the auction, as opposed to just treating them as another number. I think that's a really crucial point in this market because we're seeing time and time again, I'm going in there on a Saturday, having spoke to them on a Thursday or a Friday, and they're telling me before the auction day, we've got 4 or 5 registered bidders, we're going to be rocking and rolling, it's going to be great. Get there on the Saturday 15-20 minutes before we're supposed to rock and roll, and they're going, no one's turned up, Andy.
There's no rock and there's no rolling.
Yeah, there's definitely no rocking or rolling. I'm asking them. So did you speak to them? Did you speak to them on Friday? Did you speak to them this morning? Oh no, well we spoke to them at the start of the week. Well, I'm sorry guys, but you don't really, you can't really rely on people to do that when you've got multiple properties coming on the market now, and sharper agents that will just go and show a bit more interest.
Yeah, that's a good point. Over here, what do you reckon?
Communication's critical, written, verbal and face-to-face, so getting face-to-face with your vendors on a weekly basis through the campaign, and for the agents as well, communicating, as was touched on before, with the auctioneer, where that's at the start of campaign, first week of campaign, halfway through campaign, that communication between agent and auctioneer, so that the auctioneer, when they arrive on the day, knows exactly where the auction's at and knows what to expect on the day, is critical. I think for agents that perhaps aren't as experienced with that vendor communication, sitting in on some vendor meetings with their colleagues and gaining that experience and hearing that dialogue is what they need to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think following on from what we were saying, really obviously in a market where people are taking a massive hit on price, just upping the ante with the touch points and communication with vendors, because the more you touch and communicate with your vendors, and in the territory often they're interstate, so it's often text message, email or phone, and you can't get that face to face. But really upping the ante in that space, so that when you do have an offer on the table, it's more likely going to be a real conversation because there's a higher trust level because the communication's in a good place, and then the vendor's more likely to trust your advice, if they're going to be taking an $80,000 hit.
With regards to communication, don't be afraid to use tech like FaceTime, Skype. If you can't physically get there, then do a FaceTime. I mean, everyone's got smartphones now, and I've found that to cut through a lot of the anxiety, because the only reason why vendors become anxious because of the fear of the unknown.
That means they'll have to get to work though.
You just do a newsreader, wear your board shorts under here, and then make sure you got a table covering your bottom.
Absolutely. James, you had a point?
I think it's the relationship between the agent and the auctioneer is important, but I think as an auctioneer you've got to add value to the agent.
Yeah.
And I think one of the ways you can add value, and certainly what I do with all the agents that I work for, I give them the opportunity to introduce me to the vendor if that's what they would like to do. In particular, when you're really busy on a Saturday and you're going from auction to auction, and what I do with a couple of the guys that I do a lot of on-site auctions for, Erkin Urson and Sean Stoker in the inner city and East Market, who are particularly good at what they do. But on a Friday morning, I give them the opportunity to go and meet all the vendors if they would like me to. It also takes the pressure off them a little bit, because it sort of gives the vendor the opportunity to have a chat to someone else. I don't interfere with what they've done. I don't interfere with the process they've put into place, but it's another voice. And I think it just shows that there's a team operating here, and that you are all together. And it takes the excuses away. I find the vendors can't turn around after the event and go, well, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. You know, we sort of go, we tick this, you know, we've done everything. Yeah. It's up to you now, do you want to sell?
AJ, what are the frustrating things for auctioneers?
As I said, Adelaide's quite conservative, and a lot of buyers play close to their chest. They play games and, you know, look, I'm going to put an offer forward, I'm not going to be here on auction day, and I hear all the time, I get there on auction day, and the agent says, oh, Fred, nice to see you. I thought you weren't coming, you know. So we get a lot of those strategies played by the buyers. But one of the things that I think our agents should be doing more of, so I have a totally different business model. So what I do is I don't look at volume, I look at quality in my marketplace. And I have quite a 90 minutes between auctions, so that I can work with my agents during the open inspection, build rapport with the buyers, call the auction, and I've still got time to negotiate and put that deal together. It's a whole package, adding value, as you said. Means my numbers are a little bit limited, but I do it because I'm passionate about it and I love it, and I want to be the best in the marketplace. One of the things that I see in the marketplace is the agents won't talk to the buyers. Okay, so I say to my agents, look, go up to the buyer and say, hey, how you feeling? What's your buying strategy? They don't. So I do it. And the buyer says, I don't know. Well, the outcome you want is to walk away with a contract and the home of your dreams. So you need a strategy for that. So let's have a talk about this. You know, I'm here to assist you, here to help you with that. So that's one of the things that I would like to see our agents doing. The other thing that I get a lot of as well is I tend to be not just the auctioneer for the agents, but also their social worker. So they'll ring me and they're stressed, and I might have one or two people, and I've got to talk them through it, because I believe as well the outcome of the auction, you know, the buyers and the marketplace can sense how the agent's feeling. Yeah. So the agent needs to be positive about the process, positive that they've ticked all the boxes, and then that flows through, and, you know, the buyers are feeling more comfortable. When they're feeling comfortable, they will bid and buy.
Yeah, no, it's good advice. Go for it.
Sorry. You know when you're in those situations and they're not doing what they should be doing, if you want to use that language, there's always a reason why an agent won't do something or won't behave in a certain way that we'd like it. And those opportunities, we talk about adding value in the transaction, they're the moments that I think we can really add it and help them. So what I did, I'll give you an example. I've just come in from New Zealand. So I had in-room auctions in New Zealand last night, and the agent said to me, well, we've stopped, can you step in and do this? And I go, no, this is your job now. You know, we've stopped, we've got a gap. She goes, I don't know what to do. I said, good, let's talk about it. So we sat there and we talked it through. What do you want to achieve? And the whole thing for her was there's a fear around doing it. And I said, look, your role is here. You've got listing opportunities out in front of you on the floor. This is your opportunity to demonstrate I can do it. And I love to do it, just like you love to do it. But this is your opportunity to demonstrate your value out in the marketplace. So my role is to make sure I get engagement from the buyers, and we've got that. And then we run out of steam. Your role now is to provide some oxygen back into the auction, and this is what I need from you. And the speed at which they do that, the understanding at which they do it, and coaching them through is the gap and the real opportunity out there to do it. So these coaching, the real value for me is in the coaching piece, is to say, you know, I'm not interested in sitting and talking with your vendor and doing your job for you. Yeah. More so, I'm interested in helping make sure that you actually really understand how we can do this well, and what's your role and what's my role in doing it, and making sure those roles are really defined well. For me, I don't add value sitting in front of a vendor, because that's the agent's job and that's what they get paid, but that's only mine. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but certainly that's the way I view it. But that ability to continually push them out of their zones where they're really comfortable and actually get them thinking in different spaces. Because the reality of what we do, it's just a negotiation. It's just the speed at which we move is different.
Yeah.
So it's still a private treaty, but it's just got a speed related to it. So getting these guys to actually think 2 steps ahead before unfolds is where you need them to be.
Yeah. No, that's good.
So for me, it's just sort of looking at it, in that way. Again, not to say that's right or wrong, but
it works for you.
I just think we've got a responsibility to make sure that these guys understand auction strategy, get them thinking in a different space, and get them thinking ahead of the game. And when we create that, that's attached to listing opportunities for these guys, not just the show. And then on the flip side, you've got these guys looking for some leadership, so challenging market, and there's you can see there's some real gaps in their practice. As soon as it gets challenging, there's some real gaps in their practice, and they actually don't know what to do, and they're actually just looking for someone to actually help them with their practice. And I think it represents a real opportunity that there's training and then there's development.
Yeah.
And the one thing this industry is really good at is training, but not on development.
Yeah.
And again, that space there, someone in this industry can do that really well, is what agents are looking for.
No, that's a good point, Pete.
I actually agree, because I was just about to say with what you said, I agree. Salespeople are always looking for the opportunity to move on. It's easy, but you've got to take some responsibility as a leadership, as a business owner. We've put in place 2 things, and one of them is with my sales team every fortnight. They had one-on-ones, and we identified that the market was changing around August last year. We could see what was happening, so we have one-on-ones with our sales team every fortnight without fail. Our admin is every week, including property managers. So we identify any issues that's in the business just quickly. We grab it, nut it out, get it out. So we that's how we run our business. So, but I don't believe if you're running your business properly from the start and running a good operation, they won't walk. They won't walk. I do believe you 100%.
In that selling process, obviously there has been in the past a tendency for brands to be brand only, auction orientated, and the freelance auctioneer hasn't been very prevalent in a lot of particularly regional areas or smaller cities. I think it's about first of all, as a fraternity, us willing to do the hard yards and improve ourselves, improve our call, and add that extra value to our clients. But from a seller's point of view, I think it's 100% right. The person standing there on the day is that tip of the iceberg and representing your home, and you can have the best agent in the world that can be let down by a poorly executed auction call itself.
There is a distinct difference between Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria agents and the way they handle themselves, and especially with the auction process. For me, one of the biggest things that we moved back into our organisation is how we dealt with buyers. I think New South Wales and Victoria are so much more advanced in the way they deal with their buyers with an auction campaign. I think in Queensland we're very much concentrated on the vendor, the reserve setting meeting.
Right.
Why not run a buyer meeting, prior to the auction day, and actually get your buyers in, get them understanding the process.
Wow.
For a simple change of getting buyers involved in the process a lot heavily than what we were in the past.
My guys who I auction for, who are the higher clearance rate of my clientele, their primary focus is buyer management. Everything they get and everything they take and everything that's constructed and deconstructed and extrapolated from their buyer touch points drives their vendor meeting. And then it's led by reality, it's led by market feedback, it's led by context, it's led by relevant finger on pulse data, but it's all taken. It's not hearsay, it's not conjecture, it's not, it is their finger on the pulse of the market for their property right now. And so they don't have to worry about what are we going to tell the vendor on Tuesday night. They've got it all, because all they've done for the last 4 days is just soak it up and leech it off the market, and they deliver it. And so they've got a higher clearance rate, because come auction day, all that vendors have been given is market feedback.
So James, you were talking about Gavin a while ago. What does Gavin do leading up to the auction that obviously makes the whole process so successful?
What's he do? He follows a process. Now, for example, he'll do his call. He's very structured, and it doesn't vary. So his week and his days, and I don't want to talk out of tune on Gavin's behalf, but structure is everything. And he's always thinking, he goes to bed at night thinking, well, if things aren't quite rolling with that property, what have I got to do? What have I got to change to make that happen? And communication is everything. And he'll constantly be talking to the buyers. He'll be constantly talking to his vendors, because the goal is to match the two. And that's so often a buyer will look at a property and dismiss it for whatever reason. He'll go back to them a week later and say, you know, you came in and had a look at that property. You know what? You probably should come back and have another look, because I'm not convinced, right, in what you're telling me. I still actually think that, you know, you may still want to buy this property. So I think it's relationship. Honestly, relationship with both. So what happens in the end? The vendor trusts him, the buyer trusts him, you get the deal done.